Welcome to another episode of Policy Gone Viral. My name is Austin Moser, and I'm the Director of Development here at JMI. Today, we have Sarah Field, who is a Vice President with Stand Together. Thanks for joining us today, Sarah.
Austin, thanks for having me.
Yeah. First off, how are things going for you in DC with the pandemic?
Thank you for asking. Things are actually going well for me and my family. We're staying safe and healthy, and which is all you can really ask for nowadays. So thank you. How about for you?
Things are going well. Things are going well. Tallahassee is starting to reopen, so we're excited about that, and we'll see how the rest of the state reopens as well. But we're looking forward to it.
Okay.
So before we dive in, can you tell us a little bit about what Stand Together is, what you guys do, and possibly a 30,000 foot view?
Yeah, I'll try to keep it at 30,000 feet if possible. The Stand Together community unites more than 700 of the country's most successful business leaders and philanthropists with the most innovative social entrepreneurs across the country. And we come from diverse backgrounds, we come from diverse points of view, but we all share a common belief in people. And the idea that with the right mindset and the right support, every single individual can improve their life and the lives of those around them. Stand Together brings the experiences of these business leaders and applies them to the biggest problems and challenges of our day, which obviously today is COVID. Challenges that we recognize are really too big and too complex for any one individual to solve or one organization to solve. And changes that require an approach that tackles change across all segments of society, which we break into essentially 4 segments. We call them key institutions, which are communities, education, business, and policy.
That's great. That's great. So you touched on bringing a bunch of community leaders and business leaders together. What exactly has been Stand Together's response to COVID-19?
Yeah, it's just been remarkable when you just get this wonderful invested group of people together to see the change that's possible. So I'll walk through each of those 4 key institutions and talk a little bit about the work that we're doing, if that works for you.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Okay, terrific. So in communities, a few things that I want to highlight. The first is our Give Together Now campaign, #GiveTogetherNow, which you may have seen. It's a rapid response effort in partnership with the Family Independence Initiative to get cash assistance into the hands of families that have been affected by COVID, either health-wise or economically. And as we know, millions of families are struggling to make ends meet right now and to care for their loved ones. And our perspective is that families know what they need best. And they can use this cash assistance for whatever is the most pressing, whether it's childcare, groceries, the electric bill, you name it. And we're excited to say that we raised over $44.9 million, almost $45 million, which has enabled 89,000 families to receive this $500 of direct cash. And we've done this in partnership with a bunch of great philanthropic leaders such as Blue Meridian Partners, Google.org, the DeVos Family Foundation, Stripe, the Schultz Family Foundation, Chase Koch, Elizabeth R. Koch, and hundreds of others. It's been really, really cool.
That's great. That's great. So about the government and business side of it, how does Stand Together work on that, and possibly touch on education as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So why don't I start with education, just because that's close to my heart as a mom who is homeschooling right now. Exactly. I've become quite the expert on Vikings and parallelograms and all those sorts of things. But what we've learned is that even though school is out, education is not a building. It's not a place, and that learning happens everywhere. So in partnership with Yes Every Kid, the Stand Together community launched learneverywhere.org, which provides free resources to parents, not just educational resources, which you can find in a lot of places, but what's really cool is you can ask questions, you can crowdsource solutions, you can work with other parents to understand and educators what's working well for them. And we did this in partnership with hundreds of the country's leading educators and educational entrepreneurs who are just doing really cool things. And we've been fortunate to partner with folks like Zena Garrison and Billie Jean King on this initiative. So it's been pretty, and as a parent, I am myself very grateful for the initiative.
All about innovation and moving the needle forward there.
That's right. When people have the tools to make a difference, boy, they're so creative and so innovative, and it's really, really cool to see.
Yeah. Yeah. So you talked earlier about the 700 business leaders. What have you seen as the biggest difference between private and public sector response to this pandemic?
Yeah, in general, we know that the private sector just has the ability to be so much more nimble and localized than the public sector. Again, if you go back to our Give Together Now initiative, um, we believe that families are best positioned to make decisions for themselves. When it comes to healthcare, which I'll talk about in a little bit, providers are best positioned to make choices for you and me, their patients, right? And so you really see that bottom-up solutions can really flourish when the private sector is taking a lead in helping others.
Do you see that as the new norm, incorporating private businesses in the free market for response efforts such as hurricanes, natural disasters, and humanitarian aid moving forward?
Well, I think it's going to be a variety of things. But if you look at how so many different folks, again, have come up with these innovative solutions, whether it's around education, you see businesses that are just doing amazing things to completely pivot their production from one product to maybe making masks or making respirators. It's really a wonderful time to see how individuals can help improve the lives of those in their community and the lives of those around them.
Yeah, yeah. So you mentioned healthcare a minute ago. Can you touch on that?
Yeah, so the other key institution that we haven't talked about is government, and we believe that driving social change through good policy solutions is really a critical part of the recipe to social change. So one of the things that Americans for Prosperity is focused on right now is healthcare. And the sad reality, a tragic reality that we've seen in this pandemic is that misguided public policies have created barriers to the healthcare that people need. And a lot of these laws and regulations that were enacted over so many decades were enacted with good intentions, right? But they may have been well-meaning, but they've limited the ability of doctors to make the choices and access the supplies that they need to help their sick patients. And so Americans for Prosperity is focusing on a lot of different changes at the federal and state level. But a few of those, I'll just list a few, include making some really good common sense changes that have happened permanent. So for instance, CMS made some temporary changes, waiving existing rules around telehealth, which is great. Previously, you could only use telehealth if you were on Medicare, if you were in a rural area, and now folks have access to that, which has been truly a lifesaver, literally, in the midst of.
Tuesday.
You did, you said? Yeah, I was able to do telehealth as well, and I loved it. And honestly, as a busy mom, I kind of hope that we can do this moving forward. And so that's what Americans for Prosperity is trying to do, is let's make these changes permanent. Changes to occupational licensing, allowing doctors and nurses to practice across state lines, as another, again, to have more choice and more providers available for patients. And then patient privacy is another one that Americans for Prosperity is working on. So current policies have been sort of amended or different restrictions waived so that more platforms can be used in provider-patient communication without violating HIPAA. And that's a great thing, right? The doctors and their patients should have that choice and those abilities to communicate in the ways that make sense to them.
Absolutely.
Testing is obviously another area, and AFP is focused on locking in some recent moves that really allow rapid deployment of testing and treatment and prevention and decentralization. So there's a lot of really positive things that Americans for Prosperity is doing on the policy front.
That's great. That's great to hear. So you talked about communities, government, businesses, education, healthcare. We just want to dive into a little bit of philanthropy and giving now. So what do you see as the future of philanthropy moving forward post-pandemic?
Yeah, again, this is a time, I think, where people see the value of helping others and how it can make a really tangible impact. But perhaps not even necessarily just monetarily. Obviously, that's a big part of it. But let me pivot a little bit to talk about our Give Kindness campaign. Okay. So we just launched this as a supplement to Give Together Now, and I think this is also part of the future of philanthropy. And the goal with Give Kindness is essentially if it motivates people to share their stories in doing random acts of kindness to those in their community. And so if if you do an act of kindness, the Give Together Now campaign will actually donate $500 to a family in need. So again, if you do the hashtag Give Kindness, you tag at Stand Together Foundation, we'll donate $500. And these are the types of innovations that you're seeing in philanthropy that I think are going to last throughout, past the current pandemic.
Yeah, so it's that multiplier effect. You're giving kindness, but you're also giving somebody the financial help they may need as well. It's great.
That's exactly right. Exactly. The multiplier effect, just like with any investment, folks want to make sure that there's a really strong return on their investment. And philanthropy is no different. When you're giving, you want to ensure that the investments you're making are really going to improve the lives of those around them. And that's why Stand Together has that comprehensive investment philosophy across those 4 key institutions, recognizing that change in any one is okay, but if you can change across the whole, that's really where you're going to drive progress for the most people.
Yeah. Well said, Sarah. And Sarah Field with Stand Together today. Thanks for joining us on another episode of Policy Gone Viral. We certainly appreciate your time and insight today.
Great, Austin. Thanks for having me.
Bye.